On Wednesday, we celebrated Girls and Women in Sports Day. Gabby Crawford collected 22 points and Kayla Sproul collected 21 points against St. Joe's that day. And not to brag, but I also got over 20. Not points against a Big Five rival, but dollars spent at Duncan this week. You know, there's two sides to the whole women in sports thing. Hello, I'm Siobhan Nolan.
And I'm Libby Gilliland. I'm still working on my tease writing skills, so stay tuned for next week and maybe I'll have one. You're watching Salle TV's home for Explorer Athletics, SportsLine.
Welcome to SportsLine. Some colleges are football schools, some are basketball schools, but I personally think that we need to start making it a thing to be a track and field school. You'll see why in this week's recaps.
And later, we continue the track and field hype train with an interview from gold medalist high jumper Denise Manier.
But first, let's take a look at our SportsLine top 3.
Number 1, track and field Liam Rivard was named NovaCare Student Athlete of the Week this week, thanks to his dominant performance at the Albany Winter Classic last week. The freshman took first place in their 1,000-meter event, finishing with a time of 2 minutes and 26 seconds.
Number 2, men's soccer coach Taylor Thames announced last Friday that the team would be adding 5 new players to their roster. Marco Chang, Sean Yergel, Zach Moore, Dylan Kwasnick, and Tala Fay will be joining the returning members of the soccer team for the spring season. Thames said, quote, "The spring is critical to success in the fall, and we've talked all year about having the opportunity to dive deeper into our identity and style of play. These 5 individuals come from various backgrounds, but they are quality people that share our core values, commitment, courage, and relentlessness."
Number 3, Kalista Hyham was named MAC Offensive Player of the Week after an impressive opening week. Hyham helped the Explorers to a 2-2 start, totaling 21 points on 16 goals and 5 assists. She led the team with 4 goals in a 22-3 win over Mercyhurst, then came back the next day and one-upped her performance with a 5-goal game against St. Francis Brooklyn. Hyham shot 71% from the field against the Terriers and only missed 2 of her 7 shot attempts. It's early in the season, but Hyham is already earning her preseason Player of the Year nod.
So we have a lot of great individual performances to talk about. Liam Rivard, winning Student of the Week, we kind of saw that coming. He was one of 5 medalists for track and field at their meet last weekend, which we'll talk about in this week's recaps. But, you know, just track and field things. They just keep doing well. What else is new?
Yeah, always nice to see them. Again, we keep seeing them in all of the headlines. We are a track and field school now,
Yes,
apparently.
We are.
So,
yeah, we are. And then I'm really excited, of course, to have more soccer news to talk about. 5 new players getting added to the roster. That's going to be really helpful because a lot of men's soccer players have left or are leaving this semester. So they definitely do need that fresh young talent to bolster the team. So I'm really excited that they're finally getting that signing business in.
Yeah, exactly. They really want to highlight the season that they had last year wasn't exactly what they were looking for, but hopefully these new recruits will get in and help them improve on their performance next season.
Yeah, and then speaking of new players, Kalista Hyham off to a hot start. She only just came here. Now she's, getting MAC Player of the Week, so definitely big congrats to her on that. So we love having a strong women's water polo start to, get their season kicked off.
Yeah, we were talking about her last week, and it's great to see her in the headlines, already making a big impact on this team.
Yeah, and so we'll have to see what she does next. And that's it for top 3. Now let's see how our teams did in this week's recaps. Men's basketball traveled to North Carolina on Saturday to take on the Davidson Wildcats. The Explorers started the game on the wrong foot, going down 8-0 early on, but Jack Clark was able to hit a 3 to put LaSalle on the board. Davidson then jumped ahead 22-8, but 2 more 3-pointers from the Explorers cut the deficit back down to single digits. This wouldn't last long, as another offensive run by the Wildcats put them ahead 29-16 as the clock ticked on. The Explorers were able to rally as the first half came to a close, scoring 14 of the next 22 points to trail 37-30 at halftime. At the beginning of the second half, Jameer Brickus helped to close the deficit to 5 points with the help of Christian Ray, bringing the score to 40-35. A number of fouls ensued on the Explorers' end, pushing the home team to an 11-point lead. Khalil Brantley would be at the head of a late charge, scoring 6 points in 2 minutes to bring the scoreline to 67-59. LaSalle went on a 10-4 run and forced 3 turnovers, bringing the score to 73-69 with 52 seconds left in the game. However, late free throw attempts would make the difference for Davidson, who were able to walk away with a 77-69 win. The road trip continued in Washington, D.C. on Wednesday, but unfortunately so did the losing streak. Jack Clark and Mamadou Ducour got the Explorers off to a 5-0 start, but the two sides quickly got to trading baskets for the remainder of the half, with LaSalle never trailing more than 5 points after the first 20 minutes. Thanks to a three-pointer from Jameer Brickus, the Explorers went into halftime with a close 48-46 deficit. The Colonials controlled the opening minutes of the second half, mounting a 70-58 lead. However, a 15-6 run led by Khalil Brantley narrowed the deficit to 3 with 5 minutes left in the game. A three-pointer from Brickus allowed the Explorers to come within a point of George Washington, but the comeback couldn't be completed, and LaSalle walked away with an 89-87 loss.
Women's basketball was on the road at Duquesne on Sunday. They got off to a slow start, with the Dukes coming out of the locker room with a 7-0 run. The Explorers picked up their feet and were only down 4 points heading into the second quarter. Duquesne came out of half with another 7-1 run. The Explorers scored 12 quick points, but another run from the Dukes near the end of the fourth quarter would put away the game. LaSalle left Pittsburgh with a 67-48 loss. However, they came back with a big win against A10 opponent St. Joseph's Wednesday night at home. The first quarter stayed close, with the Lady Explorers only up by 1 point going into the second quarter. This is where they would take charge. They held the Hawks to just 4 points and took a 6-point lead going into the half. The Hawks trailed closely behind, but a great defensive performance by LaSalle led to a 66-58 win, scoring 22 points off of their 19 turnovers. Gabby Crawford tallied her first double-double of the season, while Kayla Spurl scored 21 points of her own. This ends their 2-game losing streak and puts them at 12-8 overall and 5-3 in the A10.
Track and field braved the cold in upstate New York last Friday, where the Explorers would collect 5 medals at the Albany Winter Classic. For the men, Liam Rivard claimed gold in the 1,000 meter with a time of 2 minutes and 26 seconds, almost 2 seconds faster than the runner-up. Dennis Manier collected his second consecutive gold medal in the high jump, reaching a height of 2.10 meters. Luke Yachu-Zarakowski earned a silver medal in the 5,000 meters, clocking in with a time of 14 minutes and 25 seconds. Then, in the 3,000 meters, 3 Explorers would place in the top 10. McCallum Rowe took 6th place, while Matt Bridger was right behind him in 7th, and Ryan James would round them out in 9th. On the women's side, 4 Explorers placed in the top 10 for the 1,000 meters. Christine Mancini took 1st place, followed by Jenna Webb in 5th, Jerica Lufrano in 8th, and Julia Flood in 10th. 2 Explorers claimed spots in the top 5 for the 60 meters, with Nevaeh Davis taking 3rd place and Aaliyah Allen placing 5th. In the field events, Casey Brown would place 4th in the triple jump, closing out the successful road trip.
Women's water polo traveled out to Lewisburg to face off against Bucknell, beginning a 4-game stretch to open their season. Calista Higham won the sprint to give the Explorers first possession, but a series of missed shots on both sides kept the game scoreless. Madison Martinez would break the deadlock, ensuring that LaSalle got on the board first. Bucknell responded in the second period, and the team would trade goals until the game was tied up 4-4. Casey Malone would suffer an exclusion, giving the Bison main advantage, and they would capitalize with 2 goals, putting Bucknell ahead 6-4. LaSalle would come within 1 point of the lead, but Bucknell was able to hold on, and they would take the 10-9 win. They wouldn't stay defeated for long, as they took on Mercyhurst the same day. Mercyhurst would take the first possession, but LaSalle quickly turned around with a goal at the 6.5-minute mark to lead 1-0. They continued to dominate the pool, leading 8-0 at the end of the first period. LaSalle would give up 3 more goals, but would add 14 more of their own to win 22-3. Calista Higham led the team offensively with 4 goals, while Caitlin Valentine managed 10 saves in her first start of the season.
The team returned to the pool later that same day for a matchup against Princeton. The Explorers played from behind the entire game as the Tigers scored the opening goal in the power play and added another to build a 2-goal lead early. DeFusco was able to bring the deficit to 1 with goal before the end of the first period. The second period saw even more competitive play as the Explorers quickly answered a Tigers goal with 2 of their own to tie the game at 3. Unfortunately for the blue and gold, Princeton always had an answer once again, taking 1 goal lead to end the second period before scoring 2 unanswered in the third to take a 3-goal lead. The Explorers fought to keep the game close to bring the game to bring the game back within 1 before ultimately losing 10-8.
The swimming and diving team traveled to New Jersey to go against Monmouth University. The women's team absolutely dominated the Hawks, picking up their 4th win of the season in this meet. Senior Sarah Rosetto is on fire, and she added her 10th individual win of the season in the 1,000 freestyle. Freshman Bryn Peterson took 2 wins on the day in the 200 and 100-yard free. Sophomore Megan Heiss took the top spot in the 100-yard breast and the 200-yard breast, and the wins did not stop there. Sophomore Sam Boyas, senior Annie Moser, junior Megan Gaffney, as well as the Explorer Freestyle Relay team consisting of junior Lauren Fenn, freshman Iris Fowler, Moser, and Peterson, all took home wins for the blue and gold to take down the Hawks 163-98. On the men's side, their meet started with a medley relay team win that followed by that sophomore Liam McFadden picked up his 2nd consecutive win in the 200-yard butterfly. Junior Trenton Burr took home a win with the 100-yard fly, and fellow classmate Jason Rosales took the top spot in the 100-yard breast for the 2nd time this week. Despite some stellar winning performances, the men's team unfortunately fell to the Hawks in a final 98.5 decision.
So, Livy, looks like the men's team didn't really listen to you this week.
Apparently not.
I know, it's disappointing to see, the losing streak extend to 5, while the women, they did slip up against Duquesne, but then they came right back to, a win against St. Joe's, which is obviously so important in the conference and the Big Five. So, they're 12-8 on the season. The men aren't doing as well, and it's just kind of the same thing over and over again. It's disappointing performance after disappointing performance for them, and it's just kind of getting repetitive at this point.
Yeah, I really did want to highlight the women this week because, as you said, they struggled in that first game, but when they came back, that A10 opponent is very important. They need to get back up their record in this conference, and they really did a great job of that last night. Their defense was incredible. They had so many turnovers.
Yeah.
It was just, and that's what kept them in the game. Even if they couldn't score, they were turning the ball over, getting more possessions, and just keeping the ball out of the hands of St. Joseph's.
And then Gabby Crawford and Kayla Sproul with over 20 points each. Gabby Crawford getting her first double-double of the season. That's, really something to be proud of as well, to have 2 players reach that mark. The women's swimming and diving team also had an amazing meet. So many individual wins. Sarah Rosetto, always talking about her. So, we just have so many individual wins. They got a great team win. So, really good for Women in Sports Day. Good job, guys, for really celebrating that the right way.
Yeah, exactly. And again, we're just seeing a lot of names performing well, and they're performing well as a team as well as individually, and getting all those points to win the meet was great.
And then track and field had also a really great meet, 5 medalists. The Mancini sisters stood out again. Liam Rivard, a freshman, he's getting in there, which is nice to see. They have Dennis Manier, Luki Juzerikowski. They still have that seniority coming through. So, again, just another day for track and field, really. But it's still nice to see them racking up those medals and hopefully bettering their standings for, conferences and nationals coming up in the spring.
It's a great start to the season for them.
Oh yeah, and we love to see it here at SportsLine. And that's it for recaps, but when we come back, I got a chance to sit down with a regular at the top of the podium for LaSalle Track and Field. You won't want to miss this interview with Dennis Manier, so stay tuned.
Welcome back. Siobhan got a chance to talk with Dennis Manier about his repeated success in the high jump for LaSalle track. Take a look.
Hello, welcome back to On the Sidelines. I'm Siobhan Nolan. I'm here with track and field high jumper Dennis Manier. So Dennis, you just took first place in the high jump at the Albany Winter Classic. How did that feel for you to, take gold once again?
Uh, Honestly, that meet felt like amazing for me, especially like I wasn't feeling 100%, so to be able to go out there and take first place was just a great feeling for me. Like I didn't think I was gonna do it, and I did, and I did it off like one jump, which is just crazy. It's wild. Like I can't believe it.
And so how do you compete when you're not feeling 100% like that, or you're not feeling super motivated or confident that you're going to get, that you're going to finish the way that you want to?
Um, I think for me, it was just the competition that was there. There were some guys that I remember competing against before who are pretty good. And I was like, all right, I just want to win. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
I just want to win,
Yeah.
nothing else. And that was my mindset. So when we got to the height that I ended up jumping to win, I was like, yeah, I got it. If I get this, that's the
Mhm.
dub, and then I can focus on whatever else.
Yeah.
And that's what happened.
And then, this is not your first place finish for LaSalle track and field. So does that ever kind of put pressure on you to kind of outdo yourself every single meet, or are you just kind of expecting yourself to do well at this point?
Um, Honestly, I'm not really going for the first place. I'm really just chasing this PR and it hasn't come yet. But the first place just seems to come with me chasing like the goal. So I guess it's just good to have that happen. But like I could do better at a meet and get third place and I'd be fine as long as I better myself.
Yeah. And you're a senior in a team that has a lot of senior experience. So, what has that been like for you guys to grow together over the years, especially with the weird COVID season that you all had to go through and just kind of becoming the track and field dynasty that this team has become for LaSalle?
Um, it's honestly it's weird for me because like everyone I came in with, they're gone and there's all this young talent and I'm finding myself trying to be a leader and help them out and show them how the upperclassmen for me showed me.
Mm-hmm.
And like I love that aspect of it. I love seeing new people. I love seeing them do well. I love seeing them better themselves. And I
Mm-hmm.
love trying to help them better themselves. Like, I get to practice. I go 100% every time. My
Yeah.
coach will tell you, and I do complain sometimes, but it's
Yeah.
usually like I'm just joking around with my coach. But yeah, I always go 100%, and I'm seeing that like with some of the underclassmen, like they're going hard, they're really working hard, and I love to see that.
Mhm.
And I just love how that, like you said, the dynasty is continuing.
And then you mentioned your coach, Tom Peterson, and the other athletes that we've interviewed. He's been such a big influence on this team for.
Wait, sorry. Tom is the head coach, but my the high jump coach is Remington
Uh,
Blair. That's who
uh,
coaches me the high jump.
okay, I'm so used to everyone being like the Tom being the head coach. So my apologies for that. But for Tom and Remington, how have they kind of influenced you and impacted your journey as a high jumper?
I feel like Coach Tom definitely he's always I'm really nervous before I compete, and he's always like trying to joke around with me, trying to make me feel better about the competition and just getting me in that headspace. He always asks me how I'm doing, and I appreciate that. Like that's like part of the mental aspect of track and field, and you want to make sure your mental is good, want to make sure everything like that is okay. And with Remington, we have an interesting relationship because he kind of came in a time when we didn't have a coach during that COVID. I think yeah, that COVID-19 when COVID-19 first started,
Mhm.
and it was weird at first. Like I thought I was getting worse. Like I didn't do good at all that season,
Mhm.
and I was like, oh my God, this is I don't know if Remington's gonna work. and and like, I came back the next year with more energy, more focused, and we just ended up building that bond, and things just started working out. And yeah, he's always he always knows what to say when I'm high jumping. He always knows how to really like guide me in the right place. And he always says, all I do is tell you what to do, but you do the work.
Mhm.
And I love that because it just makes the hard work I'm putting in feel worth it, I guess.
Yeah, and then with that hard work, how do you prepare for that? You have such a high expectation around yourself. People expect you to do well. So in practices, how do you prepare to, do your best for a meet?
Um, it it's hard because, at practice sometimes I could take anywhere from 6 to 12 jumps, and like that's really tough on my body in general. I try, like, I just try to stay focused. I try to remember, why I'm doing this. Like, I want to be great. I want to go to nationals. I want to break the school record. Like, it's all these things that's like in the back of my mind. And I'm like, okay, that's why I'm here. That's why I'm here. I want to do that. I want to do that. I want to do that. And I just end up just getting through it. And then, there are some practices where, it's not good at all. Like, you're
Mhm.
just doing terrible,
Yeah.
and those are the hardest to get through. And
Mhm.
if you can get through those, you can get through definitely can get through a practice where you're doing amazing and you're like,
Yeah.
wow, I can't wait for this meet. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely interesting, like seeing how like some days I'll do bad at practice and my coach will be like, don't let it get to you, focus up. I understand like you're not doing as well as you want to now, so maybe we should stop jumping for now. Just take a step back from it so I don't get too down or sad about it. And, again with the mental, so you want to go into the meet with a good mentality.
Yeah. And is it harder to practice when it's like super freezing cold out like it has been? Like, does that make it harder for you to go out and do it?
Wow, you see, no one ever asks that, and that's a good question because it's very hard to practice out there. Like
I would
I
imagine.
always Yeah, I always tell the other classes like this builds character. Like if you can practice out here and you can do what you have to do out here, when it gets warm or when you go inside, you're gonna do great.
Mhm. And then, looking ahead to the future of the season, you guys still have a lot of meets coming up. Is there one in particular that you're looking forward to, or is it just kind of like you're focused on your next one?
Well, the next one is the one I'm really focused on, but
Mhm.
I'm worried about. But I'm
Okay.
focused on that meet because there's gonna be a lot of good competition there.
Mhm.
So I usually respond well to competition. So that's why I'm focused on that meet. But I need to really do a lot of rehab and get my knee together.
So what's been going on with your knee? Has that been something that's been bothering you all season, or is it like a recent thing that
Yeah, it like started. No, it's been bothering me all season. Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm not even gonna. Yeah, it's been bothering me all season, and um, yeah, after this meet, I'm probably gonna just take 3 weeks off before conference and get it feeling better, and then when I get to conference, do what I have to do.
And is that tough for you, not just physically, but mentally to work through an injury like that? Because obviously your body is the most important thing for you when you're competing. So do you ever feel yourself kind of finding it hard to push through having to take 3 weeks off from your sport?
Um, Honestly, this in this particular situation is not hard because I don't feel like there's a meet in after this one in the next 3 weeks that I really have to go to. So,
Mm.
but like if it was, let's say it was outdoor and there were like big meets around and I really wanted to go to the, yeah, I'd be like so down and upset. Like it still upsets me now the way I have to practice and kind of go a little easier because I
Mm.
like to really go 100% with everything. So yeah, it's hard.
And so, last question though, if you could, I guess, what is your big goal for the rest of the season to finish it out? Obviously, you want to break the school record, hit your PR, but is there anything else personally or for the team that you want to accomplish?
Um, hmm, I want to go first team All American.
Okay.
And that's the biggest goal I have. Not just for me, for LaSalle,
Yeah.
because it adds to LaSalle as well. Like it's gonna be good for me,
No,
definitely. But
obviously.
yeah, it's gonna be amazing. I'm gonna be like, yes,
Yeah.
I did it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it would help, you know, not just showing that LaSalle as a smaller D1 school has the ability to produce that talent on that level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that is a great goal to have, and we're definitely sure that you can do it this season. But all best of luck to you, and thank you so much for doing this interview.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
So that's it for our On the Sideline segment for this week, but when we come back, we have previews of all of your upcoming LaSalle sports, so stay tuned.
Using meth taught me everything about freedom, only not like you think. It taught me how easy it is to lose your freedom, how meth can take control until you find yourself doing whatever meth tells you to do. Before you get there, while you still can, take a stand for yourself. If you feel yourself losing your freedom to meth, ask for help. Accept the help. It's worth it. You have the power to be truly free and be the person you want to be. I know. I'm Jan, and I'm free from meth.
If you or someone you know is struggling with meth, call 1-800-662-HELP for 24-hour free and confidential treatment referral. Learn more at samhsa.gov/meth.
We've got another full week of Explorer sports ahead of us, but here are the events you should be looking out for.
The track and field team will travel to New York on Friday to compete in the Dr. Sander Invite on February 4th and February 5th. Those same days, women's water polo will be at Kirk Pool to take on Cal Baptiste on the 4th, along with Brown and St. Francis Brooklyn on the 5th, and Pomona and Harvard on the 6th.
Men's basketball returns to Tom Gola Arena as the Explorers face off against George Mason on Saturday, February 5th. We get more basketball on the 6th as the women go up against Rhode Island in the Gola as well. Then on February 8th, the men will hit the court at the Gold once again against St. Louis.
So some pretty exciting things to look forward to, and that just about wraps it up for us this week. If you can't make it out to see the Explorer Report, be sure to tune in next week for our coverage. Keep up with this weekend's other sporting events by visiting goexplorers.com. You can also check out on the digital edition of The Collegian, which now features SportsLine content.
Also, Facebook at facebook.com/LaSalle TV and on Instagram at SportsLine LTV. We welcome you to send your thoughts and suggestions there. This week's poll is, which one is better, track or field?
You know, my interview with Dennis went really well, so I'm going to say field. And for our entire SportsLine team, I'm Siobhan Nolan.
And I'm Libby Gilliland. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you at the game.